morning everyone, and welcome back to the farm. Maybe at the start of one of these videos I'll be able to tune in and say it hasn't rained, it's gonna be 90 degrees, we're gonna pick all sorts of crops, cut all sorts of crops, and it won't be muddy. That's not today though, and unfortunately we got another shower overnight and they're calling for more today. Needless to say, it doesn't exactly look like we're gonna be harvesting on dry ground anytime soon. We're kind of weighing our options right now, driven around the countryside, and it's not looking pretty in a lot of fields. Everyone's just doing what they can to get their corn crop out. The bean crop, well, they're just too wet to harvest. Nothing we can really do about that but wait, and hopefully Mother Nature will deal us something a little bit better. That was just finally offloading the sample beans we cut over the last 2 days. Never got dry enough moisture-wise to harvest. We left them on the combine, and instead of loading a truck with 30 bushels of beans, we put them on this dinky little wagon. Although these wagons typically are a pain in the rear end for our operation, they're more logistically friendly for very light loads. It seems like the longer this chaotic harvest season rolls on, the more clutter we get at the farm. Green John Deere equipment packed everywhere. On the 670, they made the feed accelerator a little bit easier to change.
And it's not any easier if you can get to it.
Well, that makes it easier. Should be set to corn. Big pulley up front. That's the slow one. You know, I could use a feed decelerator in my life. The way my physique is looking. The only difference maker on the 670 versus that newer 780 that makes this process easier is the shield has a wider groove up here to slide back in. The 780, you almost have to have surgical precision to get this silly cover in. Probably be wise to clean out my mud scraper down here. I'm sure the old U-joint doesn't enjoy being lubed up with dirt and corn stalks. Doesn't even make sense that that much mud fit in there. But that's the evidence, so I guess it was packed pretty full. The grease alarm on the grain cart should be reset by now, although I had to make use of this archaic tool. Hey, as I predicted, we're gonna go ahead and try and send it out here, play in the mud a little bit. These pesky combine drivers and their lack of auger discipline, I would have never done that with the grain cart. Tires are a little sticky. Well, that could be left over from yesterday's mud hole. I'm sorry, old pal, but you're staying home today. We don't need you. All right, here's the game plan. First things first, got to put this box of grease here in the shelf. Very important, I know. Anywho, we're gonna try and pick this field. Like I just mentioned, we're not going to use the grain cart. It has very short rows. We're talking maybe 100 yards. By the time I line up under them with the grain cart, they'll be picked all the way through. They'll be stopped anyways. Oh, and this pretty much goes without mention this season. We're racing to rain right now because there's something moving across the countryside. Who knows how much longer we'll even be able to run. Thanks, Mother Nature. Already backed up. That didn't take long. Not gonna be much of a race today. The rain's already a mile to our west.
Is it actually raining over there?
That's 100% rain over there.
They said it wasn't going to start till 2:30.
Yeah, like I say though, the only person who makes the market people look good are the weather people. The fortunate part about the wide open countryside, the rain can't really sneak up on you. You get to watch it slowly come at you.
Just wait a minute, Kate, and see when Jeff gets back. Downhill, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Didn't have any corn on it at all. Water didn't side dress that.
Where did you learn to steer with your brakes?
105.
105.
Combine.
Is that how you had to do it?
When I do, what do you have to do?
You're only picking one row. You make sure it's where the row sense feelers are.
What are you saying?
We're on the clock, but we can probably get one more. Enough to load the truck because the rain's right there. A couple acres a day, we'll be done by Christmas.
No, we won't. Be done by plant time.
Rain and mud! Rain and mud! Harvest 2021. This weather had gotten old about the second time we got rained out. I think we're on, what, the 10th time now? Why is rain always so cold? Can't it be warm? Feel like a blanket? Not like I'm diving into an ice cold lake. It needed another washing anyways. All the corn in the back is going to be germinated by tomorrow. We're going to take advantage of the weather to try and fix Dad's bent chopper or power cast tailboard. It is really coming down. Normally, if we weren't trying to harvest our crop, I would enjoy the sound of rain hitting the shed. Right now, it's kind of nightmare fuel. Can't even tell now that Dad almost flipped the combine. That's what this is on here for, right? Just to prevent that from happening. You don't exactly need to be a rocket scientist to understand that that just made a muddy situation even muddier. Not what you want to see. I do have some good and surprising news. Wasn't quite as much rain as I thought it was. It looked like inches of rain in that short amount of time, but the rain gauge showed just a little bit over a ½ inch or 5/10, which would be 12 or 13 millimeters for your European metric folk. Got to keep you guys happy. What that means is we're definitely going to be out for the next few days. If everything goes right, sun comes out, the wind blows, maybe by this weekend, if not the beginning of next week, we can begin harvesting again. I can tell you one thing though, don't know what the price of tracts are for a combine, but they definitely just got more expensive. Everything is still here at the farm. Check back in when it's dry, or we find something to do. Two to 3 inches of rain overnight, 50 to 75 millimeters. For you Europeans. I don't want to overwhelm any of you with a topic that is seemingly as complicated as nuclear physics, but anytime the water is above the corn plant roots, like up on the stalk, that's too much water. Doesn't matter what stage of the crop you're in, you never want to see that. Needless to say, we better bring a chain with us when we come to this field. After a much-needed few days of vacation due to some weather delays, it's looking like we're gonna have a window this week. The 7-day has opened up. We've had clear skies, 70-degree highs, and 40-degree-ish lows. Speaking of chilly weather, it's a perfect time to head over to Farm Focus and get yourself a aTrippyFarmer sweatshirt. Keep you warm in the winter and be stylish. We're about half done on corn, give or take a little bit, and on the soybean side of things, a little over 2/3. We just need 5 to 6, maybe 7 good days of weather, or at least 2 to 3 to get some soybeans out of the ground, and we should be in pretty good shape. Not that we're not already. All right, that's enough jibber jabber out of me. It's 11 o'clock, I might as well at least accomplish something at this point in the day. Air conditioning's not working. I have to quit for the rest of the day because that's against my union contract. Everything has to have air conditioning. Oh, manual it is. Come on, just a few more feet and you've crested the hill. Wish it, dream it, do it. You've got this. Probably could use another 50 horsepower. Why is it that a bucket of rock always looks like a lot more when it's in the backhoe than it does when it's on the ground? There's a guy taking a draper down the interstate. There's no way that that is legal. He might be going 50 miles an hour. Got sidetracked. I don't know if I lost half the bucket on the way here, donated to the township, or what. Do I get another one? That's the question. Coincidentally, we happen to be next to a field of 38 XF1 Extend beans that obviously have not been cut yet. Not really that tough. Those are surprisingly dry. Kind of hungry, so I'm gonna try another one. That was a little wet. High 15s, maybe mid 16s, I'm not exactly sure. Having weather like this, sun shining, a little bit of a breeze, warm temperature, really progresses us out here. Might be able to cut them today. The ground is going to be an issue in a lot of spots. The boss and I are going to take advantage of a little bit of the spare time and head over to our farm that's about 40 miles to the west and see how far away it is from harvesting. It's a promising sign. They sound dry. Popped right open. Yeah, these will probably test tomorrow. They'd test this afternoon for sure. Combine's practically factory clean right now. There's a really interesting phenomenon that happens this time of year. After everyone's soybeans are the same level of ripeness, so to speak, they all dry down the same. So if we get a big rain like we've had over the weekend, if you call the elevator today and ask if they've sampled any beans, usually Joe down the road and you are going to have the same moisture on your beans. You almost don't even need to check your own. Combine's headed to the field. Just need to bring the draper along for the ride. We're headed to the field. Place your moisture guesses down below. I'm going with high 15s. Those darn farmers always hogging up the road. I'm trying to get somewhere. Come on, slowpoke, hurry up. This, folks, is why they pay me the big bucks. Yeah, looks like the field's probably gonna be dry enough based on the ditch. Dry's a relative term though, especially this year. This very well may be a very rare example of a case where the soybeans are dry enough, but the field's not. A little bit on the wet side. High 16s, which is where all the loads at the local elevator were coming in at, as I mentioned. Sometimes it's difficult to get that rotor speed at the right level outside on the rotor itself. It wasn't running full speed inside, so we knew something was up. Not only did we put it in the wrong speed, we just moved it to neutral, so we gotta figure out where it needs to go now. Still not in gear. I'm just the seat filling supervisor in this job. He's the lever puller. They're pulling the combine hard. There's a little wet.
Cut and groove.
Yeah. You can tell by how hard the combine's trying to steer. These soybeans are a tad bit on the wet side, 16%, but we're going to be putting them in the bin, so we can actually kind of stretch out our range to that point. To put it in a child-friendly way, it's kind of like having a game of Jenga, and the higher moisture you put the beans in the bin, the more things you pull out from the tower. Is it going to end bad? Not necessarily. As long as we get some cold air on them, they should dry down to where we need them. Just kind of risky. The ground is also a little bit on the soft side, to say the least. Oh well, we're going to blend them and send them. Not like it hurts anyone, they're going into our own bin. The boss left me alone with his S780. Chris is supposed to be showing up with the 10-wheeler any second. I'm going to load him and get to cutting. Dad ran down to the elevator. He's going to test those beans and get an actual official validated moisture so we know what kind of deal we're getting ourselves into in the soybean bin, and set the auger and cut some beans. Here comes Chris. Not gonna be the end of the world if I get some corn, because it's worth more as beans anyways. Great. The compaction police are gonna show up talking about how we're ruining our farm and we'll never produce a big crop. Folks, we've been doing this for a very long time and our crops have never suffered long term. We also do a lot of recreational tillage though. Fixes all of our ailments. I wanted to take a break from the action to give a huge shout out to this video sponsor, Canadips. For those of you who are not aware at this point, Canadips are a CBD infused pouch. They're made from 100% American grown hemp. Every batch is lab tested to ensure that it is 100% of the good stuff and nothing that's going to cause you any troubles. CBD has been shown to combat a variety of different problems, from stress to anxiety, chronic pains, and insomnia. If you struggle with any of those persistent conditions, I highly recommend you give some CBD a shot, especially in the form of Canadips. Not to mention that it is a fantastic alternative to traditional chewing tobacco, which is a highly used and abused product in all outdoor industries, agriculture included, with some nasty side effects. If you happen to be an individual looking for a gateway away from chewing tobacco, Canadips are something you should try. If this product interests you, I highly recommend that you go over to CanadipsCBD.com and use the code Dole, D-O-L-E, at checkout to get 20% off, or follow one of the links in the video or the description down below to support our sponsor. I appreciate all your support. Let's get back to work. The grain cart operator special. Nice and full. Voila! You can color me surprised today because I did not have cutting soybeans before we picked corn this week on my bingo card. I've always found it kind of comical in farming how much one person can lead the way in terms of what people are going to do. We've already had multiple neighbors come by, ask us what we're doing, ask us what our beans are testing. We have a little bit more flexibility because we're putting these in the bin. If we were taking them to the elevator, we probably wouldn't be cutting 15 to 16% beans. That's just the way it is. Someone's got to lead the pack. Whether or not they're leading them the right way is a different story, but that's what's happening. Oh man, the combine lullaby's working its magic on me right now. Something about the groan of the machine makes me want to take a nap. Nothing quite like mid 80 bushel beans at 15 to 16% moisture, some mud, a full hopper, and 5 miles an hour to push your combine to the max in terms of horsepower. And the combine is rejigging, which means I probably have to just sit here and leave it running. Perfect. There's nothing quite as fulfilling as saving the world by sitting here and letting your machine run and burn extra fuel so you can clean out your particulate filter. Not to mention putting hours on this thing costing you more money through depreciation. Kind of a robbing Peter to pay Paul type deal.
15.1 and whatever that was an hour ago.
15.1?
Yeah.
So it was a little high.
Well.
Or you got a dry spot in the tank. If these beans get down into the mid or low 14s, we will bring a semi out and start sending loads to the elevator. That is a monumental if, because they may not dry that quickly today. Soybean moisture seems to work on an exponential scale. They dry slower when they're wet, but once they hit a certain point, they seem to just drop all of their moisture, and next thing you know, they're single digits and you're losing money on weight. I need a rudder on the back of this combine, not tires. We're all over the place. Calling an audible. We're going around this spot on top of the hill. It's been getting worse as I've gone north. There's no reason to get stuck on a Monday. We'll save that for a Sunday. On the bright side, these beans are incredible. And they've dried out a little bit. Guess take the good with the bad. Are you kidding me? How are you still regenning? You've been regenning for 30 minutes at least. We just cut beans for 20. How? Gotta wait for it to cool down to shut it off. It just makes no sense, kind of backwards. And yet people wonder why someone would ever delete a final tier 4 engine to get rid of the DEF system and all the exhaust filters. Because they're just so reliable and awesome and great to work with. Not condoning that by any means, because that is technically illegal, but you do what you want with your equipment. Oh, wow. Thank you very much for letting me shut down my own combine. You're so kind, John Deere and EPA. Brake's over. Oops. No one saw that. You are bound to secrecy by watching my videos. Alrighty, we're doing a little switcheroo. I'm leaving this combine. We're thinking about heading over to the west tomorrow to cut those beans. It's about 40 miles, which is gonna be easily 2 hours in the combine and the grain cart. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take over one of the combines tonight. Pretty confident that they're gonna cut. That's why we're gonna take the 670 first and not the 780, because we can leave this here and still accomplish a lot. This is without a doubt going to be one of the longest equipment shuffles of my life. Taking the 670 over to Tower Hill, like I said, hour and a half to 2 hours, somewhere in between there. If this combine does 25 miles an hour, that's a good day. Not to mention that we don't even know if these beans are gonna cut tomorrow. Taking a leap of faith, I'm gonna be in here for a long time, and yes, it is a ladder in type of drive. Katie is gonna lag behind me at some point with the 30-foot draper. That way we have a pair over at that field to test some soybeans tomorrow. It's also going to be rush hour, and I would imagine by the time we get to the field, the sun will be set. Hopefully I can hold my pee for that long. We're gonna hit the road. I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna put my seatbelt on. I really have nothing to lose, and I'm gonna be on the road for almost 2 hours. Might as well do it. Fuel tank's full, def's full. See you guys later. Oh, we did it. I think I need a cocktail, a cigarette, and probably a visit to the chiropractor, because those shoulders are rough. Fortunately, we got Katie down here to be our minion. Remind me next time I go down that road to Combine to up my life insurance policy.
Which one?
You might as well take one out on me too. That was not fun. Home to 16 was the worst part in terms of comfort.
Yeah.
But 16 was the most stress-inducing.
Yep.
If you want to back that up out of the way, you can get it. I'm just literally going to cut enough for us to put this in. Now there's a professional backing up an all-wheel steer head cart. Katie's the one to ask for lessons. We got to get this combine set for beans. It's on corn, crop, no, where is it? This, crop, soybeans. Beans. Beautiful looking field of beans out here. Prospects of cutting these soybeans are pretty high, considering these are tested 13.5. Tomorrow by noon, they'll be perfect. We should have been over here cutting all day as opposed to butting it up back home. This ground's firm and these beans are dry. I wonder if the elevator will open up for us right now. I told a half-truth there. Katie's not a cart backing up expert, so I'm gonna get in, back it up. She's gonna open up the field a little bit more. We're gonna pull everything way out there and call it a night. Don't have any trucks, so there's no reason to fill the combine. I've officially given up on that. I'm losing my cool, so I'm gonna go find somewhere to just do a 3-point turn at. I'm doing a circle in the middle of Route 16. Now this is bravery. Huh. It was that simple. Pull everything way out of the way. We'll move all of our chest pieces over here tomorrow and get at it. I'm excited to cut these beans. One, because they look like they're gonna yield well, and two, I wanted to not have to worry about the farm that's an hour and a half plus away. When I was a kid, I always thought it was so cool to take farm equipment down the road. I don't know if it was a look at me type thing or what. As I've gotten older, I've turned to the complete opposite. I completely despise driving things down the road, especially combines. They're extremely cumbersome with low visibility and very rough to take down the roads. Sometimes if I could snap my fingers for $1,000 and teleport a combine to a field, I might actually pay that money. The best part is we get to make this same journey tomorrow morning. Alrighty everyone, I think I'm going to cap the chronicles from the last few days. Had a lot of rain, had a lot of mud, and finally we're gonna have a lot to do tomorrow. So we're gonna end it here. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day everyone. Peace!